Strength enough to build a house, time enough to hold a child, love enough to break a heart. That's by Terry Pratchett, who is one of my mother's favorite authors. I know not many of you may know my mother, so I'm going to give a slight intro to her as well as me through her. Strong, tall, Sardarni woman, okay, raised as badass as they get. Between boarding school and a broken family, and the hills, really. Sanawar was a huge part of her, and a huge part of her growing up. And ran away from home by 16, started working in production on her own by 18, fully independent, fully wild, completely uncontrollable. And I owe, I think, everything to her. She was, I think, the most enchanted with nature and with trees and animals. Star Trek and high fantasy and bikes and cars, oh my god. but yeah, I'd like to share a poem I wrote with you, because I feel like that's the best way I have to communicate this feeling. Sorry, I think I'm close to the mic. I write about my mother a lot. There are many ways I feel towards her. I write about my sadness a lot. There are many times it leaves me bitter. There'll always be the choice to not be sad, to not express the harrowing grief that capsizes lungs and leaves heavy the hearts of women who drowned in blood. The blood that binds them, the blood that leaves them, the blood that is drawn from them. There's always the option to not wallow on wounds carved by ghosts whose corporeal state is a wisp but whose handprint and smell still sticks to the body like yesterday's dirt. There is always the option to ignore or forget the siren songs sung by people once trusted, to discard the graves they dug for you to lay rest your safety. There is always the option to let the past be where it is, to let sleeping dogs lie, to let stories remain unbelievable and mysterious, to not draw the curtain on the act, to not show the puppeteer behind the show, to hide the panic attacks in the quivering hands behind the veneer of winter chills, to hide the anxiety, the distrust, the fear of saying no. I don't have to drag out the rotting corpse of my past, and I don't have to give it an autopsy. Neither do you. But I cannot let myself become what I have seen. I cannot become deluded. I cannot take blame where it is not fair to place blame. I cannot become the product of my parents' past, not the product of mine. To be born, one must break the egg. The egg is the world. I will drag out the still beating heart of my stupid sadness and tell it to rest. There is much love to be felt yet. I think one of the most important things I've learned through this year with my mother has been the value of love and intimacy and connection and just showing up for people. Because that's all anyone really needs, to feel alive, to feel like it's worth being here. It's what gives us the feeling of, presence, aliveness, contact, communication, connection. My mother had been battling cancer for 2 years, completely stubborn to even accept that something like that could be happening to her. She was strong, single mom, badass, raised both of us with both the dads pretty much unavailable, not really there, but she was, and she made sure to put on a brave face, to be as tough as she could. Never felt sick, bit like a fucking bull. No one thought, she would get sick, that this could happen to someone like her. And I think it's because of that kind of pride that you hide from reaching out to people. I think what hurt her the most, more than the sickness, was loneliness. Not being able to provide for your son while you're sick, not being able to be part of your own daughter's life while you're completely dependent on her, having no one else. It's a lot, and I think love is really all that can soothe that pain, and it had. There's an excerpt from this book, To Touch Is to Live, that I found really relevant. We are both the children of parents who did not know how to love, as well as the struggling parents who are trying to raise our children sanely in an insane world. We are it, the starving attempting to feed the hungry, the wounded attempting to heal the sick. We are the ignorant looking for answers, the blind attempting to live out of vision. We are the hope in the hopeless situation, the possibility attempting the impossible. There is one last poem I would like to read to you before my time is over. I love a lot like my mother does, readily, innocently, with the conviction of a revolutionary who has found her revolution. I love a lot like my mother, repeatedly, remorsefully, with the forgiveness of a child whose parents can't remember her birthday. I love a lot like my mother, violently, vicariously, with the honesty of an avalanche, enamored by gravity. I love like my mother, unsteadily, completely, like a woman who has lost all she had, paying no heed to the pain, no heed to the dust kicked in the eyes again and again, like a moth knowingly flies towards the raging fire to burn in the ashes of a love she couldn't sustain. Thank you.
Please give it up for